here to speak with us today. And with that, Adrian, I will turn it over to you.
Hi, everyone. Hello, hello, hello. So, I am extremely extroverted and I'm like a really high energy person, even at 6 o'clock in the morning. So, I usually calm down at about 3, and that's when I'm like, okay, I have to have a nap. So, you guys are still catching me when I'm wired, and I still haven't even had coffee yet, and I'm really wired. So, thank you guys for attending the session today. Looks like we have a full house. We have almost 70 participants, so that is amazing. I'm going to try to make this session as fun and interactive as possible. I know you guys have been in sessions all day and got probably information overload. So I will try to keep this as interactive as possible. A little bit about me before we get started. As Lydia mentioned, thank you guys for putting this together. This has been extremely wonderful, and as always, I said, if you all need anything from ALA, just please let me know, and I am happy for us to partner with you guys. So my name is Adrienne Berry. I started with ALA back in 2017. I initially started as a part-time HR assistant with them. I was at a point in my life where I wanted a part-time position. I was raising small children. So I didn't want to commit to anything full time. I did graduate from Purdue University with a degree in human resource management. And I had been working full time in the field for a few years. And so, like I said, I was just at a point in my life where I wanted a part time position. So I came across ALA, not knowing anything really about the industry, about the profession. I'm just like, oh, I love HR. This is a part time position, seems like it would be a great fit for me. And little did I know that would really like start my journey with this amazing organization. So I was part time there for maybe about 2 years, and then I transitioned into a full time role. And then after that, I wanted to kind of expand my knowledge and do more. So we have a really small but mighty team of 5 HR professionals. And so I went around to each HR professional on my team and said, hey, I want to learn this. I want to learn that. I want to run my own HR department one day. So can you teach me compensation? Can you teach me benefits? And so everyone on the team was happy to teach me. And that's kind of how I got started. So I moved up into an HR generalist slash recruiter role. And I was in that role for about 2 years, so a total of 5 years with ALA. In 2022, I helped the organization get through a lot of changes. We got through COVID. We got through a really huge move from our home location that we had been in up north forever to now our new headquarters is at 225 North Michigan. So I helped the organization get through a lot of difficult and challenging times. And I felt like I was at a place in my career where I wanted and I needed to learn more. So in 2022, I left the organization and I went to venture off to a couple other companies just to kind of see what was out there. But I knew I needed to return back to ALA because every company I went to, I was always like, oh, this would be good for ALA and they could do this and they could do this. And I'm like, okay, I just need to go back. But they didn't have any positions. I talked to my previous supervisor, her and I have a really close relationship. But then our executive director, Tracy Hall, created this position, and she's like, I only want Adrienne to fill this role. And so she reached out to me and she's like, Adrienne, I would love for you to do this. And so I was like, of course, absolutely. And so the saying every time someone leaves ALA and comes back, it's always welcome home. So I've been home now for almost 2 years. And it really is an amazing organization to work for. The profession is amazing. I have so much respect. I'm not a librarian, I'm not any of those things, but I have so much respect for just the function and the roles and everything that you all do. It's just so much respect and admiration there. And so anything that I can do to push the profession forward from my end, I'm always willing and open and down to do it. So enough about me. I have a couple of icebreaker questions that I would like to ask you guys, and please put them in the chat because I'm going to be reading them. What is your favorite book, or what book are you reading right now? No one's reading any books right now? Favorite book? Okay. Awesome. She said, I can't pick a favorite. It's okay, Christina. Okay, awesome. I love to see it. Love to see it. Highly recommend this beautiful moment. But okay. The history of Canada, Melissa. Interested to see what made you start reading that. You feel free to come off mute if you can, Melissa.
Sure. I've been to Canada a couple of times and I've really enjoyed it. And it's interesting in how you think it feels like the United States, and then very
Mhm.
suddenly you go, oh no, it's actually a really different place with a very different history and a very different feel and style. So it's just kind of an interesting, like almost familiar.
Okay, love it, love it, love it. Okay, so last icebreaker before we get into the presentation for today. What is something that is on your bucket list that you plan to do by the end of 2025? The one thing that's on my bucket list, and I'm gonna be honest, I don't know if I'm actually gonna do it or not, but it is on the list, skydiving. I'm terrified. I really want to do it, but I don't know if I can do it or not. Oh, see the DC cherry blossoms. Oh, run a half marathon. That's on my list too. A writing retreat. Oh, Dollywood is so much fun, Chris. Visiting South Africa. That would be great. Oh, the Library of Congress in person. It's beautiful. Beautiful. Sleep 7.5 hours a night consistently. I love that, D. I agree. Go to a Lauryn Hill concert. Love Lauryn Hill. That sounds like fun, Mark. All right. Library of Congress also too again. All right. All right. Well, thank you guys for participating in my corny icebreakers, but I kind of always like to know about my audience before I get started. So I'm going to go ahead and share my screen. And as Emily mentioned to me before we started, Zoom is very advanced now. So let's make sure this is going to be working. Let's see. Okay. Can you guys see my screen?
Looks good.
Okay, but I cannot see my notes screen. So the little
And
box that popped up before,
Didn't pop up.
I don't see it. So I'm gonna
Yeah.
stop sharing and share one more time because that's where I put all my notes at now. So let's stop. And then,
Yeah, it should almost be like overlapped whenever it pops
yeah.
up. Yeah.
thanks for your patience, everyone. We did test this beforehand, and
Yeah.
with three brains, we're able to make it work. So believe in us, and then we can do it again. These little Zoom updates, they seem minor, but then when you're presenting, something does not function as expected.
Oh, this is cool. Okay, let's see if it overlaps again.
Can you see your notes? So we can see the overlap. Like I can see you with the screen, but can you
Okay,
see your notes?
I cannot. So
Oh
I'm
no.
not sure which. Okay, hold on. Let's see. Oh,
I know, I feel like I've had to like move something over manually. Like
that's what I'm thinking.
yeah, because something just wasn't picking up, right? Like the actual screen. Oops, sorry everyone.
So no, let's. Oh, here we go. Okay, what screen can you guys see?
It's the slides. So we're
Okay,
yeah,
but no notes or anything,
right,
right?
right.
Okay,
No
awesome.
notes.
All right, awesome, awesome, awesome. Thank you guys for being patient with us.
Yay.
So we already did the introduction and the icebreaker. So can someone kind of tell me, and just feel free to blurt it, because I can't see you all, but what does career readiness mean to you?
If anyone has any thoughts, confidence, skill development.
Okay, yes,
Let's see. Understanding the skills need, being able to do the job, ready for challenges, preparation, understanding what employers are looking for, adaptability. Oh, they're coming in fast. I can't keep up.
yes, yes, yes,
Whatever
yes,
you need to enter the job market confidently and informed.
yes. Okay,
To
great,
listen.
great, great responses. All of you guys are correct. It's really funny because you all are college students, but I had to do a high school career readiness session on this past Friday. So I had a bunch of juniors and seniors and a little bit of freshmen and sophomore. And so when I asked them the question, what is career readiness to them? They all had like completely different answers. Like that generation is really into like being influencers. And so they talked to me about someone named Mr. Beats and like all this kind of stuff. So I learned a lot on Friday. But it's funny how the responses are completely different. But you guys are all correct. Career readiness, to sum it up, is the process of preparing for the workforce by developing skills, setting goals, and gaining experience. It can and it should help you to find a job, get an interview, and really advance your career. When I think about career readiness, I always think that you should start off with a self assessment. A self assessment for your career is an important step in understanding who you are, and where you'd like to go. It really helps to narrow down those strengths, those weaknesses, those values, and those aspirations, and it can really guide you towards making a decision that align with your goals and your passion. Um, Skills and strengths. So when you start to kind of wonder and ask these questions, what are my key skills? Communication, leadership, technical skills, problem solving skills. What do I do best in my job? Consider what tasks you excel at, what others often praise you for. What technical or industry specific skills do I have? What soft skills do I bring to the table? Collaboration, adaptability, time management, and what accomplishments or projects have made me feel proud of my career so far. When your wheels start turning in your mind and you start to ask yourself these questions, transparency and honesty is going to be so important. If you are asking yourself these questions and you say, "Oh, I have all these key skills," or "I can do everything great at my job," you're not really being honest with yourself. And if you're not honest with yourself, then it's going to be really hard for you to kind of zone in and narrow down where it is you want to go and what you see yourself doing. Areas for improvement. When you're looking at self assessment, like I said, being honest with yourself. What are some areas that I need to improve in? I also do outside of, doing speaking at different schools and companies and everything. I do Toastmasters. Not sure if anyone is familiar with Toastmasters. I think I do pretty well at presenting, but sometimes to be honest, you guys, I get really excited about a topic and I'll go so fast because I'm passionate about it and I really want to get my point across before I lose anyone. And so when I joined Toastmasters, it's a national organization of speakers where you get together weekly or monthly, whatever club you decide to go with. They have these different presentation and talking sessions where you come and you can do speeches in front of an audience of your colleagues or your peers, and you could present and speak on anything. But it really helped me because I was able to get and receive, constructive criticism and feedback from peers to say, okay, Adrienne, you do really well at this, but slow down or pause when you speak. And so it's a forever skill that I'm still working on. So always evaluate your areas for improvement. What skills and knowledge areas do I need to develop further? Where do I struggle the most in my current role or previous role? How open am I to learning new things? And how do I feel about continuous development? I always say people who are self-aware and really are able to evaluate themselves and say, because that's a hard thing to do, to say, you know what, Adrienne, I'm not really good at this, but I'm really good at that. So it's a big thing to be able to evaluate yourself and identify weaknesses that you may have and change them. Identifying your values and your passions. So, what's important to you? I know that I'm at a point in my career where, of course, I love what I do and I love working with ALA, but my next move or my next step, I'm not taking another position that does not align specifically with my values and passions. Yes, money is great, salary is great, all those different things are great. But for me, where I am right now is if it doesn't motivate me to get up in the morning, if it's not something that irritates me on some days, but overall I love it and I wouldn't trade it for the world, I'm not doing it. So that's something that's really important to me right now at this point in my career. And it's definitely something that should be important to you. Work environment. Do you thrive better in a remote environment or do you thrive better in a hybrid space or completely in the office? So these are things in your self-assessment that you have to identify in order to see what would work best for you. And then always have your list of non-negotiables. These are a list of things that you're like, you know what, no matter what, I'm not doing it. And you have to like really stand on that and be firm on that. So identifying your non-negotiables in your career path. And like I said, personal values. Some personal values that I incorporated in my career is I don't work past a certain time, and I have one weekend a month where I will work. So you have to kind of identify your personal values and what works best with your family, your personal life, or whatever that looks like for you. But make sure it's something that you identify with when you're on your career journey. Feedback from others. So, like I said, I joined Toastmaster just to be a better overall speaker. And a part of that process is after you do your speech and all of those types of things, you do get feedback from colleagues. But I am such a person that is open to feedback in the workplace. Personal life, probably not so much, but in my career, my professional development, I'm always asking, hey, how was that? And what can I do to be better? And so don't be afraid to seek feedback from colleagues and supervisors. How do I perceive myself versus how others perceive me in a professional context? What do people often ask for help with or praise me for? So these are all questions that you should be asking yourself because this is really going to set the tone and set the stage for you building that career path for yourself. Any questions about just the self-assessment and becoming more aware before you dive into where you want to go?
We have had a few questions come in
Okay.
via the chat. The first one is, how do you start building community and getting started in a big organization like ALA?
Okay. So I'm going to talk a little bit about that in a couple other slides, but kind of the thing that I did. And Lydia, I'm sorry, I like addressing people by name. Who was that asked that question?
That was Liam.
Liam. Okay. So Liam, the way that I started within ALA, like I told you guys, I'm a very social people person. The first maybe 2 or 3 months, I did rounds. So I made my way to the basement of the building to talk to the mailroom clerk, all the way up to I reported to the director of human resources, but all the way up to the executive director of the organization. I scheduled one-on-ones with key leaders. They didn't have to be, and this is when we were in person, so it was a little bit easier too. But I scheduled one-on-one with key leaders. I did like a little coffee chat, like, hey, I got coffee, here you go. Do you have 10 minutes? Because usually, high-level leaders are always busy. 5, 10, 15 minutes, whatever they can spare, even if you would just pop in their office and say, hey, do you have a quick 5 minutes? And so that got me so far, or that's taken me so far in my career, because now guess what? Anything that I need within my organization, if I need to be able to pick up the phone and call the mailroom guy and say, hey, I need this sent out today, he's going to do it for me because we have that relationship and he likes me. If I need to get to the executive director, I'm already cool with her assistant. So I'm getting her assistant on the line because I've built that relationship and I'm like, hey, this is what I need. Can you get this on her calendar for me? So you have to kind of be proactive. I think when new hires start in the organization, everyone would love to connect and speak with them, but we just don't have a lot of time. So you take the initiative on yourself, and make sure you're communicating with your direct leader and say, "Hey, I would like to know these key people in the organization." Liam, so I hope that answered your question.
There are two more questions in the chat. Would you like
Okay,
to go over them now?
yeah,
Okay.
we can do that.
The next question is from Patty, and it's about the experience of knowing that you know nothing the further you get in your library science studies. They're worried about how to get a compelling resume when you don't have as much experience. It's a bit chicken and the egg.
Yeah, so that's a great question. But Patty, so I'll start first with what do you know? Focus less on what you don't know and focus more on what you do know and build on that. If and I'm just using this as an example, if you know only how to fry eggs, make sure that you can communicate to whoever you're speaking with that you are the best egg fryer in the country, and make them believe it. So since you do lack a little bit of experience, it's really going to come down to being able to sell yourself to whoever you're speaking with. So get that pitch together, get your brand together, get that self-assessment together, and really build a toolkit of what you'll need when you're in front of those audiences to say, I don't know this, or I wouldn't even say I don't know this. I would start with what I do know. And then if questions arise with what you don't know, say, this is actually something that I'm studying right now or I'm working on. Always be in a position to tell them, like, hey, this is something that is actively being worked on. And I go to the last question, Lydia.
The last one is from Liam. When you are investigating a new institution for a job, what sort of things do you look at, watch out for to best gauge if it is right for you?
Yeah. So Liam, that's a great question. And you're just all in my PowerPoint presentation today. Liam, and we'll cover more about this in later in a later part of the presentation. But one of the things as the talent acquisition manager that I look for when I'm interviewing candidates, interns, anyone for the organization, if I ask the question, what do you know about ALA? And you tell me I don't know anything, I am no longer really listening to what you have to say. Because just like I'm interviewing you, you should be interviewing me. My approach when I go on interviews is I'm good at what I do. So when I walk into the room, I'm confident and I need to see if you guys are a good fit for me, just like you're looking to see if I'm a good fit for you. And so if you have that approach, you should always research the company and have come with questions. I think it is so mind blowing when I interview candidates and they have no questions about the job that they're going to be potentially doing. How do you not have questions? I don't understand. You don't know what you want to do, what you're going to do day to day. So have questions. Also, too, Liam, don't be afraid to reach out to people that currently work at that organization. There have been times when people have reached out to me on LinkedIn at previous organizations that I've been with, and they say, hey, I have an interview in such and such department. I worked for a hospital before I came back to ALA. I'll have an interview in such and such department. Can you kind of tell me about the culture there? What do you think? This is, and I always tell them that it's going to be confidential so they don't have to worry about whatever they say getting out. But usually employees are very transparent with you. So make sure you reach out to them via LinkedIn or I know for us, for ALA, our directory is on the website. So you can pretty much contact anyone that you need to at ALA. But yeah, don't be afraid to reach out to those employees or even past employees. Hope I answered that question.
Thank you. There's a few others, but I think you might cover them later, so
Okay.
I will hold them and we can circle back.
All right. Awesome. Thank you. All right, so this is probably one of my favorite topics, creating a personal brand for your career, defining your brand. So at this point, you've already done your self-assessment. Now you should be at the place where you're really trying to hone in on what your brand is. So the first question you should be asking is who you are. That should be fairly easy because if you've done the self-assessment and taken those steps to kind of identify who you are, what you want to do, then this part of defining your brand should be easy. Create your own personal mission statement. A mission statement, as you guys know, is a clear, concise statement that captures your professional purpose and the impact that you want to have. This can guide everything that you do. So if you have that mission statement created, then when you go out to look for jobs and you're on the job hunt, anything that doesn't align with that mission statement that you've created for yourself should automatically just be weeded out. Because you already have in your mind, you've done the self-assessment, you know who you are, you know what you're looking for, you're driven, you're ready to go. This is your mission statement. Anything that falls outside of that or not in the parameter of that, to me, it really shouldn't be considered. Know your audience. So know who it is that you're trying to seek the attention of. Think about who you want to connect with. Are you targeting potential employers, clients, collaborators, or other professionals? Tailor your messaging so it resonates with the audience that matters most in your career goals. You should always know your audience before you go to a conference or an event or you're attending a webinar. Know who's going to be in the room if possible. So always know your audience and create a consistent messaging. So you want to make sure that your online presence, LinkedIn, social media, your personal website, it really communicates your personal brand. Keep your profiles up to date and make sure, again, that this is always aligned with your values and your mission statement for your career. Develop a tagline, hashtag, and create an elevator pitch. For those that don't know, I'm not sure how many of you know, but an elevator pitch is a 30-second pitch that if you ran into Jeff Bezos on the elevator, what would you say to him? If he says, hey, I have $1 million grant and I'm trying to figure out how to use it or what to do, or can your university use it? How can you contribute to that? How can you have a problem and try to figure out how to solve it? So what is your elevator pitch? Be able to communicate and be concise clearly when the opportunity presents itself. I always say stay ready so you don't have to get ready. So if you're already mentally ready and you have your notes in your phone, then when these type of situations become available, then you're already ready to go. Creating a brand, continued. Showcase your expertise. Don't be afraid to showcase who you are. And if you are a professional and an expert in something, be confident in that. Employers love to see employees and interns that are very confident in what it is that they bring to the table. Networking and building relationships. Your network is going to be so key when you are expanding your personal brand. To be very honest with you guys, I don't think I have ever in my career, maybe once, completed an actual job application. Every job on my career path that I've had, it's because I've connected with someone that knew someone that knew someone and thought that I would be a good fit for the position. My first internship was with the Marriott. It was an HR internship with Marriott. I actually, back in the day, now I feel old, but back in the day, we used to have an alumni page on our website. It would be like a scrolling page and they would list and highlight all of the alumni. And I saw this alumni who was a HR major, and he graduated and he was a manager of the human resources department for Marriott. And so I just reached out to him and I was like, hey, I want to intern with you guys. This is my major. This is what I'm really interested in. What can you do for me? And I went to interview with him in the VP of the Human Resources Department, and I interned for Marriott for 4 summers, just off of just making that connection. And the thing is, guys, they want to be able to help students. Like they want to give you the opportunity. So you have to open up. You have to, know what you want to do, and you have to be able to go for it. So never be afraid to go for it. And that person, that 3 people in that entire HR department, they served as references for me throughout my entire HR career. So people that I, went on to work for after that, they were always able to call them and say, oh, Adrienne was a fantastic worker. My next job after my internship, my real HR job, she called me, the director of the department, and she said, did you used to work for Chuck Lamont, the VP of Marriott? I said, yeah. And she was like, oh, I worked with him 25 years ago at Marriott, and he told me that I should hire you. And so it was a trickle down effect from there. So don't be afraid to build these key relationships. If you are not as extroverted as I am, that's perfectly fine. I have met people that are straight shooters, but they are still able to get what they need to get when they walk in the door. So don't be afraid to build those relationships, and your personal brand and what you put on social media will also play a big part in that. So just build on those relationships that you already have, and don't be afraid to make new relationships. And another thing I'll say about that too, guys, I really had to explain this to my high school students last week. But I think you guys know this, but be careful about what you put on social media, because it follows you. Not sure if you guys have ever Googled yourselves, but I did YouTube videos like 12 years ago, and my 15-year-old daughter's like, "Oh, mommy, I saw your YouTube videos." And I'm like, "What? You know, that's still living out there?" So just be careful about what you post online, because it does follow you. And as you guys know, that stuff lives forever. So I'm the type of person, yes, I want to help everyone and I want everyone to be successful. But if you come to me and you say, "Hey, Adrienne, I want to use you as a reference, or I want to connect, can you be my mentor?" If I Google you and I see something like Hot Girl 99 spread across the universe of the web and it's bad, I can't associate with that. So just be careful when you guys are posting online, and what you do in the digital space. Be authentic. Um, Believe it or not, especially HR people, we automatically can tell who is BSing us and who is authentic. So be yourself, whatever that looks like. If you are nerdy, goofy, silly, just whatever that is, be yourself. There's nothing like an authentic person, especially when me personally, am looking for someone to work in my organization. So be authentic. You don't need to try to be something that you're not, and people really connect to honesty, transparency, and real stories. So if you are meeting someone and you're really not a talker, share a story with them. Be just transparent and authentic and share a story with them, whatever that may look like. Engaging with your audience. Don't be afraid to engage with people on social media. So if you wrote an article, or you have a blog or anything like that, and you see people commenting on how great it is, or if they have questions or anything like that, don't be afraid to engage with your audience via social media as well. And not just via social media, anywhere that you are. Always engage with their audience and find a way. I know the world of digital social media and all that is so big now, but find a way to stay connected with them. And then maybe where the hashtags come in at. So if you have a unique hashtag for your brand, I know in the HR world, I'm known as your HR lady. So if you type in my hashtag, you'll see like my Instagram come up, you'll see my website come up, you'll see all of those things come up. So find something that kind of identifies with your brand, and really hone in on that and drive with that. Don't be afraid to keep evolving. I have changed my brand a few times. Now, it's always stayed in the realm of human resources, but I've always gotten better. Right now, I'm studying to get my HR certification. So that's going to be a change that, I have within my career. So always never be afraid to keep evolving and keep growing. Do we have any questions there before I go into networking and building relationships?
We do have about 3 or 4. Now, I made a placeholder so I could keep track. Um, the first one is more about the application process and both sides when looking from Elif. When looking at candidates, how important or often do you review materials within someone's portfolio or website?
Yes, so that's a great question. Honestly, for ALA, I review it all, just because of the nature of the business. So a lot of the positions that we're hiring for, you're going to have to be a great writer. Our American Libraries, which is our publication, you have to be an editor, be able to have, editing skills and all of those types of things. So me and the managers are looking very closely at what it is that you send to us and how you package it all together. Me personally, and I don't think my managers do this, but I do. I love the websites. That's like a big thing for me. When someone sends me their website with all of their different materials in one place, and I can kind of see visually what it is that they've done and how they've made their stamp in the world, in their career path. I love that. So that is something that I do look at. But what my managers look at, if you don't have a cover letter, we don't even consider you. So cover letter, your resume, and then most of my positions again require writing samples. And when I give kind of like the instructions for writing samples, it could be anything that you've done for your organization, a memo, an email, or even if you don't have a career or haven't been in the field, anything that you've done for school. So for your college, any writing samples for that. So yes, I do look at all of those things. And the only thing that I don't look at are the LinkedIn profiles, only because I want to make sure that we don't create any, biases or anything when hiring. So that's the only thing that I don't kind of take a look at, because honestly, I don't need to. If I have your resume, cover letter, writing samples, your website, everything is right there. I don't really need to look at the LinkedIn page. But I hope that answered your question.
There are a few additional questions about branding.
Okay.
Teresa asked, I have a lot of skills, but they are all boots on the ground, and I want to elevate my role. I have them in education, special education, and therapy. So my question is how to rebrand me. I think I'm good at spinning my skills.
Yes. Okay, great. So what I would do is, first of all, I would really identify, what do you want your next career move to be? First, ask yourself that question. Once you kind of have a clear picture of what you want that next position to be, I would only focus on those roles. And then when you're putting your resume out there, anything that's not relevant to what you want to go after, take it off. Now, what you can do so there aren't any gaps in the resume, just use a one-liner that says, from this date to this date, I was an educator. You don't have to list the skills and responsibilities, because you're not applying to an educator role. You're applying to do whatever it is that you've identified that's already on your resume. So be very clear. A person that has so much experience and years worth of experience doing so many different things, I like to call them jacks of all trades. I think that's fine, because you could be used in any industry. But when you're going after those specific positions, only focus on relevant information. To be honest, if I'm looking at your resume and I know that I'm hiring for a senior editor. If I know I'm looking for a senior editor, I don't care that you used to do office admin work. That's not, I mean, I'm glad you have a job and it shows that you have a consistent job history, but it's not relevant to anything that I'm looking for. And if the resume is too congested with things that are irrelevant, I really have no interest in looking further, because it's just too much. I'm having to sift through too much to try to get that important information.
This next question is about concerns about networking. Patty states they find it really difficult to trust in networking. They would consider they're a couple steps up from having face blindness and are lucky if they remember someone's name after being in class with them for a semester. So giving people's names as references or asking people I haven't seen in a while for opportunities doesn't feel right.
Okay. So what I would do if I were you, Patty, the next time you're at a networking event, and I am so sorry, I do not remember what this cool software was that I came across recently, but I think it was at the ALA conference like last year, someone had it, and I thought it was the coolest thing ever. But you scan the barcode of a person, and she had it on her, it was a bracelet. And she scanned the barcode, and then at the end of the night, everyone that she had came in contact with that night was in this like digital web profile, and it had their face next to it. It had their organization that they worked for, and she was even able to enter notes as to like what they talked about or why they wanted to connect with that person. So if I were you, and I'm gonna find it out, and I'm gonna let you know, Lydia, please connect me with Patty so I can find out, because it's really gonna bother me if I don't find it out. So if you get that type of tool, and that will kind of help you organize the people that you're meeting. You could do it for class, you could do it for career events, you can do it for whatever you like. But that will really help you organize the people. And then once you get to a place where you're like, okay, I really need to stay connected to Adrian at this point in my life because I need XYZ. In a couple months after you meet with them, or maybe 1 month, just shoot them an email and just say, hey, I met you at the ALA conference. I would love to connect. Do you have 10 minutes for us to hop on Zoom and chat, or hop on Teams and chat? Or if we're in the same city, I'm all for getting Starbucks. So take those types of things into consideration. And Patty, I promise I'm going to figure out what that software was, because I really think it'll be useful and helpful for people that are not always good at remembering faces and names and what people do.
Yeah. We have one additional question about branding. Would you like that? And then
And
proceed.
then we'll go to the next
Okay.
one.
Yeah, because I wanna be mindful. It's about a quarter
See,
till.
I'm
So
like, okay, I'm not going to talk so much, guys. So yeah, go
these
ahead with
are
the
these
question.
are all great questions, everyone. So this is
Yeah.
about branding on LinkedIn. It's from Christina. How would you recommend handling my branding slash LinkedIn presence as I am currently employed and I do not want my company knowing I am earning my MA and LIS and am job searching to switch careers?
You know what? Honestly, that's a tough one because let me ask you this: is anyone from your company your friend on LinkedIn? Do you know if you're connected with them on LinkedIn?
I'll just unmute and say yes.
Maybe. Okay.
A few
Um,
people, yeah.
okay. And so you're getting your MA and you don't want your company to know that you're getting it so that you can advance your career and go somewhere else, correct?
Correct.
Okay. Yeah, Christina, that's going to be hard. Unless you create, and I wouldn't do this because LinkedIn is so different from the other social media platforms. It takes time to build those connections. And, once you
Mhm.
have all of those things in place, it's like, I'm not going to create another page just to like do other things. Um, the only thing that I can think of, Christina, is to be transparent with your organization and let them know that you are pursuing the MA, not to get another job, but that you are pursuing the MA, and then skillfully start posting different things on LinkedIn that showcase what you can bring to the table and that you are getting the MA without tipping off your employer that, oh, she's about to look for another job. If you don't feel comfortable with it, some people don't care, but I could tell that you really have concerns about it. So that's what I would do. But it's always tricky when other people from your organization follow you.
Thank you.
Mm-hmm. All right, so let's go into networking and building relationships. I feel like we kind of touched on this a lot so far. So be authentic. Like we already said, this entire presentation, if you take nothing else away, please just be authentic to who you are. And I promise it will take you so much further in your career path. Attend events and conferences. Now, as you know, ALA has an annual conference every year. At the annual conference, we have an area that is called the Career Placement Center. And at the Career Placement Center, we have different recruiters that come from all over the country because they are hiring for different, roles within their organization. We also have resume review workshops. We have mock interviews. We have people that come out and do presentations similar to mine that focus on different things in the industry. So we have a lot to offer, especially for students and just anyone in general that's in the profession that's looking to transition their career. The cool thing about the Career Placement Center is it's free. So even if you cannot afford to come to conference or you just can't get a conference registration, this space within the conference is free. You don't have to register for it. You literally can walk in. We will be in Chicago this year. We're in Philadelphia, but I believe we're in Chicago in 2026. So if you guys can have an opportunity just to come down, like I said, if you don't have time to attend the entire conference or financially your company can't pay for you to attend the conference, I really strongly recommend that you come to the ALA Placement Center. And even in the ALA Placement Center, we have like 30 different employers that come. And so even if you don't leave there with a job, it's one great and amazing time for networking, for you to pull out that scan the QR code or that business card and really identify and connect with people in the industry. And I'll even go a step further. You can't get into the conference, but there's so many people in the profession walking the halls. Julius Jefferson, who was our past ALA president, and he's also working at the Library of Congress, you'll often see him walking around in the hallways and connecting with students and people there. So just make sure that you attend, different events and conferences, and then don't be afraid to attend the free webinars that they offer, that different companies offer, or even take advantage of different events like this one. So it's always an opportunity wherever you go to connect and meet new people. Of course, use social media. We already talked about your brand and social media. I am so quick to hop in someone's DM. If I want to know something or if I need something from someone, I'm sending a message like, hey, I need XYZ. This is the budget. This is the date that we're looking at. What can you help me with? Or can you point me in the right direction? If they can't help you, I'm sure they know someone that can. Um, One of the things is offer value first. So this is tricky because networking is a two-way street. So think about not only how that person can help you, but how can you help them? I really personally don't like if I meet someone and then I like to stay connected. So whether it's oh, Christmas is coming up or a holiday is coming up, just say, hey, happy 4th of July. That's a small way of being connected. But if I haven't spoken with you in a year and then all of a sudden you reach out and you're like, hey, can you do me a favor? That's a problem for me because you haven't taken the time to build a relationship with me. You only want to speak with me because of what I can do for you. So whether it's sharing an article that you may find valuable, if you see an HR article about HR in the profession, in the library world, and you say, "Oh, Adrian, I think this would be good for you. Send it to me." And I'm like, "Oh, cool. This is really helpful." So always think of the other person and not just think about what they can do for you, but what you can do for them. And follow up. Like I said, follow up, follow up, follow up. I wouldn't wait 2 months to follow up. If you meet someone at a conference, don't wait more than 30 days because that person probably met a ton of people. Follow up as quickly as possible. I had the pleasure of hiring a young lady earlier, and this is kind of more about interviewing, but I had not received a thank you note in the mail in years. And this young lady went and picked out a card. She wrote on the card about how thankful she was to interview with us, and she sent it to me in the mail. I hired that young woman because it was so thoughtful, and people just don't do those types of things anymore. So follow up and be thoughtful with the follow up. Kind of get creative because just like you, it's probably a ton of people that are following up. So, go ahead and kind of be thoughtful when it comes to following up. And then also be consistent. Networking is about a long-term building of a relationship. So, like I said, make an effort to stay in touch with these people that you meet, whether it's through occasional messaging, sharing content, or just like the occasional check-in, or hey, I thought about you. Here's a $5 Starbucks card, just anything like that. So just be creative and thoughtful when following up. Okay, so recruiting tips and what employers want to hear. This is my last couple of slides, but I'll tell you guys from my side of the desk what I am really looking for when I speak with different candidates and interns and all that. Passion and enthusiasm. I come with high energy again anyway, so I'm not expecting for anyone to be on 10 like me, but I want to hear that you're passionate and enthusiastic about the profession. I will say I've had the pleasure to speaking with a lot of people in the industry, and they are not excited and just, on 10 like me. But when it comes to libraries, they perk up and they start talking about everything under the sun. And I love it. So when I ask the question now, why are you interested in working for ALA? A lot of the responses that I've been getting is people just really want to contribute to the profession because of the state of where the country is in now. And just because everyone is on edge about where libraries are going to go and what we're looking at, people are like, you know what, I'm leaving my job and I want to work for ALA because this is important right now. And so I feel that passion and I feel that enthusiasm over the phone. So be passionate and enthusiastic about whatever it is that you want to do. This kind of goes hand in hand with that self-assessment we talked about in the beginning, because if you already have identified what you're passionate about and what you're enthusiastic about, then this should be easy in conveying that when you're speaking with someone. Relevance, experience, and skills. Kind of touched on this earlier. I don't want to hear about how you worked at McDonald's in high school because it's not relevant. I want to hear strictly about whatever the job description entails and how can that experience translate over into what we need you to do for different positions. Culture fit. I always evaluate for culture fit when I talk to candidates. I want to see, will you fit into the collaborative teamwork culture that ALA has? If you are a person that's used to working independently and not used to taking directions from people or just not used to being collaborative, it's probably not the best fit for you. And that's okay. But that's something that comes along with that self-assessment, identifying what it is that you are fit, whatever you fit into, as opposed to trying to fit into something that's not for you. You have to have a growth mindset. One of my questions is always, where do you see yourself in the next 5 years? Like, what do you want to do? And how, as the talent manager, how can I help that fit into your career path? So if you say, hey, in 5 years, I really see myself growing and being in this type of position, okay, great. This is the ladder that I can help create for you at our organization. And would that work for you? Because I want to make sure that we're both aligned. Adaptability. So as we mentioned, ALA is forever changing. I'm an optimist. So right now we're kind of in the valley, but I'm very optimistic about where the organization is going to go. But I need people that will be adaptable to that type of environment. I feel like the profession, all of you guys are forced to be adaptable anyway, because we just don't know what the state of the country, what the profession, any all of those things are kind of in limbo right now. And so I feel like we are ready and willing to be adaptable if needed. And then also, why you're interested in the job. Why do you want to work here? Like, what about this job that you saw posted interested you in this position? And typically, like I said, what I've been getting lately is just people want to contribute to the profession. And then finally, confidence. I want to see that you are extremely confident in what it is that you bring to the table. You have to kind of sell yourself, like sell me on believing that you are confident, you do have the skills that are needed. And finally, don't be discouraged by setbacks, guys. Perseverance and a positive attitude will definitely carry you far. And question.
So we did have a question just to pivot a little about resume length. When thinking about hiring managers at a career fair or those looking at emergent professionals on a site like Handshake or job applications that come in, what resume length do you recommend?
So it depends on the level of the position. Right now, ALA is hiring for an executive director. All of the resumes have been over 5 pages long, but we expect that in such a high level search. But depending on where you are in your career, I would say no more than 1 to 2 pages. No more than 1 to 2 pages. And even with those positions that you've worked in that aren't relevant to where you're kind of going now in your career path, use those one-liners that I talked about earlier today. You don't have to list all of the skills and responsibilities that you did in the position, but just say, I was an office admin from this time to this time, because it'll still show that there was no gap in your employment history, but it's not necessarily relevant to what it is that you're looking for now.
Yeah, so it sounds like for the students on this call who are considering attending GLAM at the end of the week, or if you are, just starting out in the LIS field, 1 to 2 pages tops would probably be best. If you've already been in the library field for 20 years and you're working on your MLIS now, then you might have more pages.
Yes, yes. And then even in that type of situation, if you have that 20-year of experience, I will focus less on what's on the paper and more on what you're going to say verbally. Because honestly, they're not going to read through, 4 to 5 pages on the spot with all these students coming in and out, of what you have on your resume, on your documents. So speaking with them verbally actually may take you a little bit further if you have more experience in the field.
That makes sense. There's a question on here about identity. So Liam asks if um, when introducing yourself, how do you gauge what identities to include? For example, it's important to me that people know I'm neurodivergent, but I feel like this will hurt my chances of getting opportunities.
No, not honestly, not in our profession. We and don't be afraid to introduce yourself up front and say, "Hi, I'm Liam. My pronouns are." I know at the LA conference within the last 2 years, we have to put that on our badges. So when we register for conference as ALA staff, one of the questions that we have to fill out is our pronouns are whatever they are. So when you're introducing yourself, don't feel like it would, weed you out of any process. our field is so open and just so loving and embracing to all different types of communities. I don't think you'll have a problem with that.
Thank you. A question from Angela. Are headhunters a good place for older grads to help find mid to higher level jobs?
Yeah, I absolutely don't think there's anything wrong with using headhunters, especially because most times headhunters know about different positions that aren't even posted, on publicly yet. So a headhunter may have a position available that hasn't been publicized yet, and they may say, "Oh, I actually have a good position for you." So I absolutely don't think it's anything wrong with that.
Ivy, you have your hand raised. Please feel free to ask a question directly.
Hi, yes. Thank you so much for such a wonderful presentation. My question is about how to advocate for living wages or living salaries as we're entering into a very challenging economy. I noticed that there are, several positions that with that salary, I wouldn't be able to qualify for a one-bedroom apartment. And so there's kind of like this paradox where it's like you're trying to move to a new city, you're trying to start this new chapter in librarianship that you've worked so hard for, and then you kind of like have this economic barrier to being able to assume your role and to perform well in your position. So like, how would you advocate for like a living salary or wage, at least at an interview stage?
Yes. So unfortunately, that has been such a huge problem across the board. I know for us as an organization, we are cutting back drastically. Um, Now, I always tell applicants and candidates when you get to that part of the interview process, always counter. Now, I am going to say that no matter what they say the job is listed as in terms of salary, always, always counter. You may only get $1,000 extra, but there is a salary range and there is money there. And so, but even if you don't get anything because they may say their budget's tight and we just don't have it, at least you asked. So you didn't leave money on the table. So that's number one. Number two, I hate to say it, but some companies, they just don't have it. And so what I've been getting now from applicants that I've been interviewing is they're taking pay cuts just because they are that desperate to contribute and work in the industry. And so you have to ask yourself the question, what can I take and what is the absolute non-negotiable in terms of my salary that I can and cannot go for? Because like I said, unfortunately, this is just an industry that are not they don't have high paying salaries. So it really becomes of okay, what's budgeted for the hiring manager to be able to offer you. I hope that answered your question, but still counter, still ask for more money, but just be okay with knowing that you may or may not get it. And then also, if you say, hey, I can't take because of my financial situation, I can't take less than $50,000, then you have to be okay with walking away from a position that doesn't pay that, unfortunately.
Thank you so much.
Mhm.
Thank you. Well, we are at time, actually a minute over. But there have been so many questions, folks. I am so sorry we were not able to address them all. But we do appreciate you attending our final prep session. And hey, there is Adrian's email. A few people had asked earlier about
Yes, yes. This
your
is my
contact
email address,
information.
guys.
You are extremely kind and generous to offer that to the students attending. Thank you so much. GLAM really appreciates you, and thank you for all your work with ALA.
All right, thank you so much, guys. And feel free to reach out to me via email. If you could just put in the subject line how we met, because I get so many different inquiries and everything else. So if you could just put in the subject line how we met, and I would love to connect with you guys.